For over 4,500 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood as humanity's most enduring mystery. Millions have gazed upon its weathered stones, pondering questions that conventional archaeology struggles to answer. We've been told it's a tomb, yet no mummy has ever been found inside. No hieroglyphs adorn its bare walls. No treasure, no artifacts, no evidence that anyone was ever buried there. So why were they built? What purpose could justify transporting millions of tons of stone across hundreds of miles? Nikola Tesla, the man who gave us alternating current, who envisioned wireless power transmission, who understood energy in ways we're still struggling to comprehend, had a breakthrough that could unlock these secrets hidden for millennia. But it was suppressed. Picture this: January 7th, 1943. Room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. Nikola Tesla, once the most celebrated inventor in America, dies alone at age 86. The man who illuminated the Chicago World's Fair, who made modern electrical distribution possible, who held over 300 patents, spent his final years in debt and obscurity, abandoned by the same industrial powers that had profited from his genius. But Tesla's death triggered something extraordinary. Within hours, before his body was even removed, FBI agents arrived at his hotel room. They were accompanied by members of the Office of Alien Property, a wartime agency authorized to seize assets deemed vital to national security. The agents worked methodically. 80 boxes of research papers, laboratory notebooks, technical drawings, and correspondence, Tesla's entire life's work, meticulously organized, were loaded onto trucks and driven to an undisclosed location. The official explanation, national security concerns during wartime, required examination of the deceased inventor's research. The government assigned MIT professor John Trump, uncle of future President Donald Trump, to review the seized materials. His official conclusion, released publicly: the documents contained nothing dangerous, mostly speculative philosophy and incomplete theories, harmless musings of an aging inventor who'd lost touch with practical science. The family could have their papers back, but when the boxes were finally returned to Tesla's estate, there were only 60. 20 boxes had vanished, gone without explanation, without inventory, without any official record of their contents or location. What was in those missing boxes? Tesla's nephew, reviewing what remained, noticed immediately what was absent: all research related to wireless power transmission, all correspondence with archaeologists and geologists, all notebooks from Tesla's final decade, when he'd become obsessed with ancient monuments and their geometric properties. Most significantly, missing were Tesla's extensive technical analyses of the Great Pyramid of Giza, calculations, measurements, engineering assessments that treated the ancient structure not as a tomb, but as a sophisticated technological device. For over 80 years, those 20 boxes have remained classified, locked away in government archives. Officially, they're lost. More likely, they contain knowledge that powerful interests cannot allow to become public. So, what if Tesla knew what the pyramids were really built for? What if the pyramids weren't tombs at all, but power plants? And Tesla discovered how they worked. Tonight, we follow the trail of evidence from Tesla's wireless vision to the Giza Plateau in 2500 BCE, connecting suppressed technology with ancient wisdom. The answer may revolutionize everything we think we know about human history. If these ancient mysteries stir your curiosity, leave a like and let me know where you're watching from. Now let's begin where it all started, with Tesla's early discoveries. In 1884, a young Serbian engineer arrived in New York with 4 cents in his pocket, a letter of recommendation to Thomas Edison, and ideas that would transform civilization. Nikola Tesla possessed a mind capable of visualizing complete mechanical systems in 3 dimensions, testing them mentally before ever touching metal or wire. Edison, impressed despite himself, hired Tesla immediately. The partnership lasted mere months. Edison's direct current system required power plants every few miles, thick copper cables, and couldn't transmit over long distances. Tesla envisioned something radically different: alternating current that could travel hundreds of miles through thinner wires, stepping up and down in voltage through transformers. Edison dismissed the idea as dangerous and impractical. Tesla quit and spent the next year digging ditches for $2 a day, his engineering degree worthless, his revolutionary ideas locked inside his head. Then, in 1886, he secured funding to establish his own laboratory. The breakthrough came in 1888 when he filed patents for a complete AC system: generators, transformers, motors, distribution methods, everything needed to power the modern world. George Westinghouse recognized genius when he saw it. He purchased Tesla's patents for $1 million, equivalent to $30 million today, and hired Tesla to implement the system. The war of currents had begun, pitting Tesla and Westinghouse against Edison and General Electric in a battle that would determine humanity's electrical future. The 1893 Chicago World's Fair settled the debate. Tesla's alternating current system illuminated the entire exposition. 200,000 light bulbs blazing in the night, powered by generators at Niagara Falls, transmitted over distances Edison claimed impossible. Visitors from around the world witnessed a glimpse of the future, and AC became the global standard. But even as Tesla revolutionized electrical distribution, his mind pushed further. Wires were merely a stepping stone. His true vision: wireless transmission of power itself. In the spring of 1899, Tesla relocated to Colorado Springs, where he built a laboratory crowned by a 200-foot tower topped with a copper sphere. The locals thought him mad. They would soon reconsider. Tesla's goal was audacious: prove that Earth itself could conduct electricity, that wireless power transmission wasn't fantasy but engineering reality. The laboratory housed a massive Tesla coil capable of generating millions of volts. When activated, it produced lightning bolts visible for miles, thunder that shook buildings, and electromagnetic pulses that knocked out the local power station. But the spectacular displays were secondary to what Tesla discovered in those high-altitude experiments. He found that Earth resonates, vibrates, at specific frequencies, like a bell when struck. By matching his transmitter to Earth's natural resonance, he could send electrical energy through the planet itself, recoverable anywhere on the surface. The demonstration came on a summer evening in 1899. Tesla activated his transmitter, tuned to Earth's resonant frequency. 26 miles away, on the other side of Pikes Peak, 200 light bulbs illuminated without any physical connection to the power source. No wires, no cables, no contact, just electromagnetic energy propagating through the Earth, collected by a simple receiver, powering lights that glowed in the darkness. Tesla had proven his principle. Wireless power transmission worked. The implications were staggering. Standing in his Colorado laboratory, watching instruments measure electromagnetic pulses traveling through the planet, Tesla experienced a revelation that would obsess him for the rest of his life. Earth wasn't just a conductor of electricity, it was a resonant system, a vast instrument that could be played if you understood its frequencies. The key was resonance. Push a child on a swing with random force and nothing happens, but push in rhythm with the swing's natural frequency and the amplitude builds dramatically. Tesla realized the same principle applied to Earth. Transmit electrical energy at precisely the planet's resonant frequency, and that energy would amplify, propagate globally, become accessible anywhere. The frequency he identified, approximately 8 cycles per second, would later be confirmed by German physicist Winfried Otto Schumann in 1952 and named the Schumann resonance. Tesla had discovered Earth's natural electromagnetic pulse 50 years early. But Tesla's revelation extended beyond the technical. He recognized that this wasn't new knowledge, it was rediscovered knowledge. Ancient civilizations, he became convinced, had understood these principles. They had built structures that exploited Earth's resonant properties, that channeled and amplified natural electromagnetic fields, that distributed power without wires or fuel. His thoughts turned increasingly toward ancient monuments, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, Its precise mathematical relationships, its careful positioning, its sophisticated engineering. These weren't characteristics of a tomb. They were hallmarks of a machine, a device designed by minds that understood principles modern science had only recently begun to grasp. Tesla returned from Colorado Springs with more than experimental data. He returned with a mission: build a wireless power transmission system that would prove his principle at global scale, and in doing so, validate what he increasingly believed, that humanity had possessed this technology before, in an ancient world more sophisticated than anyone imagined. To realize this vision, he would need funding, and for that, he would need to convince one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in America, J.P. Morgan. In December 1900, Tesla secured an audience with J.P. Morgan in the banker's mahogany-paneled office overlooking Wall Street. Tesla came prepared with technical drawings, mathematical calculations, and a proposal that promised to revolutionize global communications. The Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla explained, would be a wireless transmission facility more powerful than anything previously attempted. Built on Long Island, it would broadcast messages across the Atlantic, making Marconi's crude radio technology obsolete. Morgan, already invested in communications infrastructure, saw the commercial potential immediately. On March 1, 1901, Morgan wrote a check for $150,000, equivalent to $5 million today. Construction began within weeks on a 200-acre site in Shoreham, Long Island. The tower rose through 1901 and 1902, an imposing 187 feet topped with a 55-ton copper dome. But the visible structure was only half the system. Tesla drove steel pipes deep into the earth, reaching an underground aquifer that flowed beneath the site. The foundation incorporated iron rods extending down into the water-bearing rock, creating an electrical ground that connected the tower to Earth's conducting layers. Wardenclyffe's design embodied Tesla's Colorado Springs discoveries. The tower functioned as a resonant transmitter, tuned to Earth's natural electromagnetic frequency. The massive coil at its base would generate millions of volts, creating standing waves in Earth's atmosphere and conducting layers. The system had three components working in harmony. First, the tower captured atmospheric electricity, the same energy that powers lightning, and channeled it into the coil system. Second, the deep grounding network connected to the aquifer, exploiting the electrical conductivity of flowing water through mineral-rich rock. Third, the coil itself resonated at precisely Earth's natural frequency, amplifying the input energy through harmonic resonance. The result would be a global electromagnetic field, weak but detectable anywhere on Earth's surface. Simple receivers, coils tuned to the transmission frequency, could extract power from this field. No wires, no infrastructure, no fuel costs. Free wireless power, available to anyone, anywhere. Tesla envisioned a world where power plants, transmission lines, and energy monopolies became obsolete. Small receivers on rooftops would collect power from the electromagnetic field, powering homes, factories, vehicles. The technology would eliminate energy scarcity, distribute wealth more equitably, and free humanity from dependence on fossil fuels. For Morgan, Tesla emphasized the commercial applications: wireless telegraphy superior to Marconi's system, global communications dominance, enormous profits from licensing fees. Morgan approved additional funding as the tower neared completion. In the summer of 1902, with Wardenclyffe nearly operational, Tesla made a catastrophic miscalculation. During a meeting with Morgan, he revealed the tower's true purpose. Wireless communications were merely a secondary function. The primary goal was wireless power transmission, free energy available to all humanity, eliminating the need for centralized power generation and distribution. Morgan's response was immediate silence. Then, coldly, "If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter?" The question wasn't technical, it was existential. Morgan controlled vast empires built on centralized resources: copper mines supplying wire for power distribution, General Electric manufacturing generators and transmission equipment, coal operations fueling power plants, railroads transporting fuel, AT&T stringing telephone cables. Free wireless power would obliterate the economic foundation of everything Morgan owned. Within days, Morgan's lawyers delivered a letter. No further funding would be provided. The contract was terminated. Tesla frantically sought alternative investors, but Morgan's influence ran deep. Every potential backer received warnings about Tesla's impractical schemes, his financial unreliability, his deteriorating mental state. Banks that had once courted Tesla now refused meetings. Potential partners disappeared. Through 1903 and 1904, Tesla struggled to complete Wardenclyffe using his remaining personal funds. He sold assets, borrowed money, mortgaged equipment. The tower stood nearly finished, its massive coil installed, needing only final adjustments to begin broadcasting power globally. But financial pressures mounted. Creditors filed lawsuits. The property faced foreclosure. Tesla, once celebrated as the world's greatest inventor, now appeared in newspapers as a cautionary tale about impractical dreamers who ignored economic reality. The legal attacks intensified. Morgan's lawyers challenged Tesla's patents, tying them up in litigation that drained Tesla's resources. Other inventors, suspiciously well-funded, filed competing patents that copied Tesla's work, forcing expensive legal defenses. By 1905, construction had stopped. The tower stood abandoned, a monument to suppressed innovation. Tesla retreated to a small laboratory, continuing experiments but never again achieving the resources for large-scale implementation. In 1917, with the United States entering World War I, the government demolished Wardenclyffe Tower under the pretense of national security. The official explanation claimed the tower could be used by German spies for communications. The real concern, more likely, was preventing anyone else from completing Tesla's work. Tesla spent his remaining 26 years in declining circumstances, moving from hotel to hotel as debts accumulated, conducting experiments in cramped rooms, writing treatises that mainstream science ignored. The man who had revolutionized electrical power died in poverty and obscurity, his greatest achievement deliberately destroyed. Wardenclyffe's destruction established a pattern that would repeat throughout the 20th century and beyond. Revolutionary energy technologies, real functional systems demonstrated under controlled conditions, would emerge, attract attention, then mysteriously disappear through financial pressure, legal challenges, or the suspicious deaths of their inventors. The pattern wasn't conspiracy, but aligned interests. Energy companies protecting profits, financial institutions preserving investments, governments maintaining geopolitical control, media protecting advertising revenue, academic institutions avoiding controversy. Each acted according to its own incentives, but the cumulative effect was systematic suppression of technologies that threatened the energy status quo. Tesla understood this before anyone. In his final years, he wrote bitterly about interests of the ignorant mob, who have not even the slightest appreciation of what these great pioneers have done. But his bitterness masked a deeper knowledge he'd been pursuing since Colorado Springs. Knowledge that connected his work to monuments built millennia before. He knew Wardenclyffe wasn't the first wireless power system attempted on Earth. He knew because he'd found the evidence in stone, preserved by builders who understood what he'd rediscovered. And that knowledge, more than his engineering achievements, may be what truly threatened those who seized his papers after his death. In the cluttered laboratory spaces where Tesla spent his final years, surrounded by equations and diagrams that colleagues dismissed as the obsessions of a deteriorating mind, lay evidence of a discovery that would connect him across millennia to the builders of the Great Pyramid. His surviving private journals reveal not casual interest, but systematic engineering analysis. He approached ancient monuments not as archaeological curiosities, but as sophisticated devices to be reverse engineered. Tesla's notebooks contain extensive calculations of the Great Pyramid's dimensions, ratios, and geometric relationships. Page after page of mathematical analysis, cross-referenced with his own electromagnetic experiments, annotated with observations about material properties and structural resonance. This wasn't the casual hobby of an elderly inventor filling time. This was serious engineering investigation. He acquired detailed surveys from archaeologists, requested specific measurements of internal chambers, studied reports on the pyramid's construction materials. His correspondence with Egyptologists asked technical questions that baffled recipients. What was the mineral composition of the granite? At what depth did the foundation reach water-bearing rock? What were the acoustic properties of the Grand Gallery? These weren't questions a historian would ask. They were questions an engineer poses when analyzing a machine. The numbers captivated Tesla immediately. The Great Pyramid's height, originally 481 feet including its missing capstone, multiplied by 43,200 produces a number remarkably close to Earth's polar radius. The base perimeter multiplied by the same constant approximates Earth's equatorial circumference. The precision approaches 99%, far beyond coincidence. But Tesla recognized what others missed. The number 43,200 wasn't arbitrary. It represents exactly half the seconds in a day. More significantly, it connects to the precession of equinoxes, the 25,920-year cycle during which Earth's axis slowly wobbles. Divide that cycle by 600 and you get 43.2, the same ratio encoded in the pyramid's dimensions. The pyramid also incorporates pi and the golden ratio in its proportions. The relationship between height and base perimeter expresses pi to several decimal places. The angle of the passages and the ratios between chambers follow golden ratio relationships that appear throughout natural systems, from spiral galaxies to nautilus shells to the proportions of the human body. Tesla's conclusion, written in his notebook margins, not decoration, not symbolism, deliberate encoding. Ancient builders possessed sophisticated mathematical knowledge and intentionally preserved it in permanent form. Why? What purpose requires such precision? Tesla's Colorado Springs experiments had proven that Earth resonates at specific frequencies, approximately 8 cycles per second, later measured precisely at 7.83 Hz, and named the Schumann resonance. Any structure tuned to this frequency would interact powerfully with Earth's natural electromagnetic fields. His analysis of the Great Pyramid revealed something extraordinary. The structure's dimensions create harmonic resonances at specific frequencies. The Grand Gallery, he calculated, should resonate at approximately 110 Hz, an exact harmonic of the fundamental Schumann resonance. The King's chamber dimensions suggested resonance at similar harmonics. Tesla had designed Wardenclyffe to broadcast at Earth's resonant frequency, amplifying the transmission through harmonic resonance. He now realized the pyramid had been designed using identical principles, thousands of years before modern physics discovered electromagnetic resonance. The implications staggered him. The ancient builders understood that matching a structure's resonant frequency to Earth's natural electromagnetic pulse would create amplification effects. They knew what Tesla had spent decades rediscovering. His notebooks contain detailed calculations comparing Wardenclyffe's proposed broadcast frequency to the pyramid's structural resonances. The correlation was undeniable. Both systems, one ancient, one modern, exploited the same physical principles to interact with Earth's electromagnetic field. The similarities between Wardenclyffe and the Great Pyramid extended beyond electromagnetic principles to precise design choices that couldn't be coincidental. Both structures were positioned over underground aquifers. Wardenclyffe's site selection on Long Island specifically targeted a location with flowing groundwater. The Great Pyramid sits directly above complex underground water channels beneath the Giza Plateau. Ancient Egyptian texts describe the pyramid's location as the place of the sound, a reference, Tesla believed, to the acoustic vibrations created by water flowing through limestone caverns. Both structures incorporated deep grounding systems reaching the water table. Wardenclyffe's steel pipes extended down through soil and rock into water-bearing layers. Early excavations of the pyramid discovered copper and iron rods extending from the foundation into the aquifer below. The reason? Flowing water through mineral-rich rock creates weak electrical fields. The moving water separates ions, creating potential differences between upstream and downstream locations. It's a natural battery effect, providing a source of electrical current. Both Tesla's tower and the ancient pyramid were designed to tap this geological power source. The geometric similarities were equally striking. Both structures used height-to-base ratios that created specific resonant properties. Both incorporated materials chosen for electrical characteristics rather than structural necessity. Both featured internal chambers positioned according to mathematical relationships rather than functional requirements for their supposed purposes. Tesla wasn't building a modern version of an ancient idea. He was reconstructing a specific technology that had existed before, using the pyramid as his blueprint. Tesla's material choices for Wardenclyffe aligned precisely with the pyramid's construction materials, suggesting he understood the ancient structure's electrical properties. The pyramid's internal chambers are lined with Aswan granite containing up to 85% silicon dioxide, quartz crystal. Quartz is piezoelectric. Mechanical pressure generates electrical voltage, and electrical voltage causes mechanical vibration. Tesla used quartz crystals extensively in his electrical systems for frequency control and signal generation. He recognized that the pyramid's massive quartz-rich granite chambers, subjected to millions of tons of pressure from the limestone above, would generate electrical fields continuously. The pyramid's outer casing, mostly destroyed but originally covering the entire structure, consisted of highly pure Tura limestone with virtually no magnesium content. This specific composition makes it an excellent electrical insulator. Modern high-voltage systems use similar materials to prevent electrical discharge and contain electromagnetic fields. Wardenclyffe similarly employed copper for its excellent electrical conductivity and specific insulators to contain the powerful fields generated by the coil system. Tesla was replicating the pyramid's material strategy: conductive elements where current needed to flow, insulating elements where fields needed to be contained. In 1899, Tesla had discovered that pyramid shapes naturally focus electromagnetic energy. His experiments with pyramid-shaped coils produced stronger fields than cylindrical coils of equivalent size. The geometry itself amplified the effect. Modern physics has confirmed this. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Applied Physics proved that pyramid structures concentrate electromagnetic energy in their internal chambers and beneath their bases. The effect occurs at specific resonant frequencies determined by the pyramid's dimensions. Tesla understood this intuitively through experimentation. The pyramid shape creates standing wave patterns, electromagnetic energy that reinforces itself through reflection and interference. The apex acts as a focal point, concentrating energy like a lens focuses light. Wardenclyffe's tower wasn't pyramid-shaped externally, but its internal coil arrangement created similar geometric focusing effects. The massive copper dome at the apex served the same function as a pyramid's capstone, collecting and concentrating electromagnetic energy. Tesla's surviving correspondence hints at extensive communication with archaeologists and Egyptologists that has since vanished. References in other letters mention detailed surveys and internal measurements provided by researchers in Egypt. He apparently funded excavation work seeking evidence of technological purposes within the pyramid. This correspondence abruptly ceased after Wardenclyffe's funding collapsed in 1902. The letters Tesla received from Egyptian contacts, responses to his technical questions, measurement data, geological surveys, disappeared from his files. When his papers were inventoried after death, colleagues noted these conspicuous absences. Most tellingly, archaeologists who had corresponded with Tesla denied any such communication when later asked. Several claimed they'd never heard of him, despite documentary evidence of earlier exchanges. The pattern suggests pressure to distance themselves from Tesla's unorthodox theories about the pyramid's true purpose. By 1905, Tesla had reached a conclusion that would have revolutionized archaeology if anyone had listened. The Great Pyramid was never a tomb. It was a power plant, a wireless energy transmission facility exploiting Earth's natural electromagnetic fields through precise geometric resonance, piezoelectric materials, and geological positioning. The system worked, Tesla believed, through integrated components. Underground water flow created electrical currents. Piezoelectric granite chambers converted acoustic vibrations from the water into electrical fields. The pyramid's geometry focused and amplified these fields. The structure resonated at frequencies matching Earth's electromagnetic pulse, creating a transmitter powerful enough to broadcast energy globally. Wardenclyffe represented Tesla's attempt to reconstruct this ancient technology using modern materials and improved understanding of electromagnetic theory. He wasn't inventing wireless power transmission. He was rediscovering it. The 20 boxes of Tesla's research that vanished after his death allegedly contained his complete analysis of the pyramid as an electrical device. According to his nephew's testimony, these boxes included detailed technical drawings comparing pyramid architecture to electrical systems, calculations proving the pyramid's dimensions were optimized for electromagnetic resonance, material analysis explaining why specific stones were transported from distant quarries, geological surveys showing the relationship between the pyramid's location and underground water systems, correspondence with archaeologists and geologists, complete plans for reconstructing the pyramid's power generation system using modern materials. Most significantly, these notebooks reportedly contained Tesla's proof, mathematical and experimental, that wireless power transmission at global scale was not just theoretically possible, but had been achieved before, millennia ago, by a civilization whose technological sophistication we've systematically underestimated. For over 80 years, this knowledge has remained classified. Official explanations claim the documents were lost, destroyed, or contained nothing of value. But the pattern is clear. Evidence connecting Tesla's wireless power research to ancient technology was deliberately removed from public access. The question becomes, what did those notebooks prove that remains too dangerous to acknowledge? Now, let's look at what the pyramids are saying. The Great Pyramid occupies the most precisely calculated location in Egypt, 30 degrees north latitude, 31 degrees east longitude. This positioning places it at the exact center of Earth's landmass, equidistant from all continents. For a tomb, such precision would be meaningless. For a power transmission facility designed to reach the entire globe, it's optimal. More significantly, the structure sits directly above a complex underground aquifer system. Modern seismic surveys have confirmed extensive water channels flowing through limestone caverns beneath the Giza Plateau. These aren't small streams, but substantial underground rivers, creating continuous acoustic vibrations as water moves through rock. Ancient Egyptian texts describing the pyramid's location used a specific phrase, the place of the sound. Egyptologists dismissed this as religious metaphor. Engineers recognize it as technical description. Flowing water through limestone creates infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that penetrate solid matter and travel great distances. The pyramid was deliberately positioned to exploit this natural acoustic energy source. The pyramid's construction employed 3 distinct materials, each transported from distant locations at enormous expense. For a tomb, local materials would suffice, but each material served specific electrical functions. The foundation and core contain local nummulitic limestone, practical for basic structure. But the outer casing, originally covering the entire pyramid in a smooth shell, consisted of Tura limestone from quarries 500 miles north. Why transport thousands of tons of stone such distances? The answer lies in chemistry. Tura limestone contains 99% pure calcium carbonate with virtually no magnesium. This specific composition makes it an excellent electrical insulator. It prevents electrical discharge and contains electromagnetic fields. Modern high-voltage installations use materials with identical properties. The inner chambers tell a different story. The King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber, and Grand Gallery are lined with rose granite from Aswan, 500 miles south. This specific granite contains extraordinarily high concentrations of silicon dioxide, up to 85% quartz crystal in some samples. Quartz possesses a remarkable property called piezoelectricity. Apply mechanical pressure and it generates electrical voltage. Apply electrical voltage and it vibrates at precise frequencies. Every computer, smartphone, and digital watch depends on quartz crystals for this property. The pyramid's builders lined critical chambers with tons of quartz-rich granite, then placed millions of tons of limestone above, creating constant compression. Any vibration, from the underground water flow, from acoustic energy, from seismic activity, would cause the quartz to generate electrical fields throughout the granite surfaces. The system functions like a massive battery that recharges continuously. The pressure never stops. The vibrations never cease, so the electrical generation continues perpetually. Modern precision measurements of the King's Chamber granite have detected measurable electrical potentials even today, 4,500 years after construction. The system, though damaged and incomplete, still generates weak electrical fields from the compression and natural vibrations. Chemical analysis of residues throughout the pyramid's internal passages reveals industrial compounds that have nothing to do with burial practices or preservation. The northern shaft extending from the Queen's Chamber contains traces of hydrochloric acid. The southern shaft shows deposits of hydrated zinc chloride. These specific chemicals react in a well-known process. Hydrochloric acid plus zinc produces hydrogen gas and zinc chloride. The reaction is highly exothermic, generating heat and pressure. Additional residues include sulfuric acid and ammonium chloride. Combined with the zinc and hydrochloric acid, these create an electrochemical system functionally identical to a modern battery. The Queen's Chamber wasn't a burial space. It was a reaction vessel for chemical power generation. Carved into solid bedrock beneath the pyramid, the subterranean chamber sits directly above the aquifer system. Unlike the finished precision of upper chambers, this space is rough-hewn, with deliberately textured walls and ceiling. The texture isn't incomplete work, it's acoustic engineering. The surface irregularities amplify and channel sound waves, transforming the chamber into a resonating cavity. Water flowing through caverns below creates acoustic vibrations. The subterranean chamber captures and amplifies these vibrations, directing them upward through the pyramid's internal structure. Early excavations discovered copper and iron rods extending from the chamber floor down into the water-bearing rock. Copper conducts electricity excellently. Iron provides magnetic properties. Together, they channel electromagnetic fields generated by the moving water into the pyramid's internal systems. The Queen's Chamber functions as the system's chemical reactor. The shafts delivering hydrochloric acid and zinc compounds created conditions for hydrogen generation. Hydrogen gas, forced upward by the exothermic reaction's heat and pressure, would travel through the horizontal passage connecting to the Grand Gallery. As the hydrogen moved through the passages, it would compress and begin to ionize, stripping electrons from atoms, creating a conductive plasma. This ionized hydrogen could carry electrical current far more effectively than ordinary gas. Salt deposits throughout the chamber and passage, crystallized minerals from hydrogen bubbling through mineral-rich water, provide evidence of this chemical process. The patterns match modern hydrogen generation systems, not preservation techniques or religious ceremonies. The Grand Gallery rises 153 feet at a 26.5-degree angle, the same angle as the pyramid's external faces. This creates perfect harmonic relationship between internal and external geometry. The chamber functions as a massive resonating cavity, amplifying acoustic and electromagnetic energy. 27 pairs of precision-cut slots line the gallery's walls. These once held mechanical resonators. devices tuned to specific frequencies that would vibrate in response to acoustic energy, amplifying and focusing the sound waves traveling upward from below. Modern acoustic analysis confirms the gallery resonates powerfully at approximately 110 Hz, an exact harmonic of Earth's Schumann resonance. When acoustic energy at this frequency combines with ionized hydrogen gas flowing through the chamber, conditions become optimal for electromagnetic field generation. The ceiling shows distinct scorch marks above each resonator slot, evidence of electrical discharge and plasma formation. These marks couldn't result from torch smoke or natural weathering. They indicate high-temperature electrical arcing, proof the system once operated at tremendous power levels. Positioned at the exact center of the pyramid's mass, the king's chamber represents the system's power converter. Every surface is lined with piezoelectric granite. Millions of tons of limestone press down from above, creating constant compression. Acoustic vibrations traveling up through the gallery cause the granite to vibrate. Electromagnetic fields from the ionized hydrogen interact with the piezoelectric material. The result: powerful electrical discharges generated throughout the chamber's granite surfaces. Evidence of the system's operation remains visible. The chamber walls have been pushed outward by more than 1 inch, detected by laser measurement showing deviation from perfect rectangularity. This displacement indicates internal pressure and explosive forces far exceeding anything burial ceremonies could produce. Above the king's chamber, 5 so-called relieving chambers contain massive granite beams. Conventional archaeology claims these relieve structural pressure, but the pyramid's geometry already distributes weight perfectly. Their actual function: acoustic isolation and frequency tuning. Each granite beam is precisely cut to vibrate at specific frequencies. Together, they create harmonic resonances that amplify the electrical generation below. The beams show stress fractures consistent with harmonic vibration damage. They were subjected to powerful oscillating forces that cracked them over time. The pyramid originally culminated in a pyramidion, the capstone that crowned the structure. Ancient texts describe it as made from electrum, an alloy of gold and silver with excellent electrical conductivity. This capstone wasn't decorative. It served as the system's antenna, collecting and transmitting the electromagnetic energy generated within the pyramid's chambers. Its removal wasn't due to weathering or theft. The precision-cut platform at the pyramid's apex shows it was carefully extracted, suggesting intentional shutdown of the system. Modern equivalent: disconnecting the antenna from a radio transmitter. The system might still generate power internally, but without the capstone, it cannot broadcast that energy efficiently. Christopher Dunn, a precision engineer with over 30 years' experience in aerospace machining, approached the Great Pyramid as a functional device rather than an archaeological monument. His analysis, documented in The Giza Power Plant, traces energy flow through the complete system. Water flowing through underground chambers creates acoustic vibrations. The subterranean chamber amplifies these vibrations. Acoustic energy travels upward through passages. Chemical reactions in the Queen's chamber produce hydrogen gas under pressure. Hydrogen flows through passages, becoming ionized plasma. Ionized hydrogen enters the Grand Gallery, where acoustic resonance amplifies the electromagnetic effects. The piezoelectric granite in the king's chamber converts mechanical vibration and acoustic energy into electrical fields. The granite beams above tune and amplify these fields. The capstone broadcasts the generated electromagnetic energy. Each component serves a specific function within an integrated power generation system. The precision required explains the pyramid's impossible tolerances. The material choices reflect electromagnetic properties rather than aesthetic preferences. The positioning over the aquifer provides the initial energy source. The geometry amplifies natural phenomena into usable power. Dunn's engineering analysis explains what conventional archaeology cannot, why such precision was necessary, why specific materials were transported such distances, why the internal architecture bears no resemblance to any tomb, and why no mummy has ever been found in any pyramid. In July 2018, an international research team published findings in the Journal of Applied Physics that validated the most extraordinary claims about the Great Pyramid. Scientists from ITMO University in Russia, the Laserzentrum Hanover in Germany, and the Australian National University used advanced electromagnetic modeling to analyze how the pyramid interacts with radio waves. The study wasn't archaeological speculation. It was rigorous physics, using numerical methods to simulate electromagnetic behavior. The researchers tested the pyramid's response to radio waves at resonant frequencies between 200 and 600 meters wavelength. The results were unambiguous. The Great Pyramid concentrates electromagnetic energy with extraordinary efficiency. Dr. Andrei Evlyukin, one of the study's lead authors, stated that the pyramid focuses electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers and beneath its base at specific resonant frequencies. The peer-reviewed findings proved what Tesla had theorized and Christopher Dunn had analyzed. The pyramid's geometry creates measurable electromagnetic effects. This isn't speculation or pseudoscience. It's documented physics, published in one of the world's most respected scientific journals. The research team noted that understanding the pyramid's electromagnetic properties may be important for designing nanoparticles that can reproduce similar effects in the optical range. Ancient builders understood principles we're now applying to cutting-edge nanotechnology. The electromagnetic measurements revealed specific patterns. Energy concentration occurs most intensely in the king's chamber, queen's chamber, and beneath the pyramid's base, exactly where Christopher Dunn's power plant theory predicted maximum electromagnetic activity. The focusing effect operates most powerfully at the pyramid's resonant frequencies, determined by its dimensions and geometry. Change the pyramid's proportions and the effect disappears. The builders didn't stumble upon these dimensions accidentally. They calculated them precisely to achieve specific electromagnetic results. Modern attempts to replicate the effect using scale models have confirmed the findings. Small pyramid structures built to the exact proportional dimensions show measurable electromagnetic focusing at their resonant frequencies. The geometry itself, independent of the specific materials, creates the effect. Mass spectrometry analysis of residues throughout the pyramid's passages has identified specific industrial compounds at the molecular level. The hydrochloric acid in the northern shaft and zinc chloride in the southern shaft show isotopic signatures inconsistent with natural mineral deposits or organic preservation materials. These chemicals match the precise composition needed for controlled hydrogen generation. The reaction byproducts, salt deposits and mineral residues throughout the Queen's chamber system, correspond exactly to what modern hydrogen generation processes would produce. Additional trace elements detected in the granite include rare earth metals, lithium, cesium, and strontium. These elements don't occur naturally in Aswan granite at the concentrations measured. They're essential components of modern electrical systems and semiconductors. Their presence suggests either advanced ancient metallurgy or contamination from technological processes we don't fully understand. Continuous electromagnetic monitoring of the Giza Plateau over several years has detected fluctuations that correlate with solar activity, lunar phases, and seasonal changes. The pyramid responds to celestial electromagnetic influences in measurable, predictable patterns. Random stone structures don't exhibit such behavior. The pyramid's response indicates intentional design for electromagnetic sensitivity. It was built to interact with natural electromagnetic fields from Earth and space. During solar maximum periods, when the sun's electromagnetic output peaks, field strength around the pyramid increases measurably. The structure amplifies these natural variations, suggesting it once functioned as part of a system that harvested energy from cosmic sources. Advanced ground-penetrating radar surveys have revealed extensive underground structures beneath the Giza Plateau that don't appear on any ancient maps or modern archaeological surveys. Large voids, passages extending beyond known chambers, and complex tunnel networks connect the pyramids to each other and to the Sphinx. These hidden chambers may contain components of the power generation system that remain undiscovered. Egyptian authorities have restricted access to many areas, preventing comprehensive investigation. But the seismic data confirms that what we can see of the pyramid represents only a fraction of the complete structure. Geological analysis reveals the pyramid sites atop a natural electromagnetic anomaly. The underground water channels, mineral deposits, and limestone cavern systems create conditions that enhance electromagnetic field generation. The site wasn't chosen randomly. It was selected specifically for these geological properties. Independent acoustic studies have verified Christopher Dunn's analysis of the Grand Gallery's resonant properties. When acoustic energy is introduced at frequencies matching Earth's Schumann resonance and its harmonics, the gallery produces measurable amplification. Most remarkably, when sound at these specific frequencies fills the gallery, the granite surfaces generate detectable electrical fields. The piezoelectric effect, pressure on quartz crystals producing electricity, occurs in real time during these experiments. The system still functions, though weakly, after 4,500 years. Modern acoustic engineers have confirmed that the gallery's dimensions are optimized for resonance at 110 Hz. Altering the dimensions by even small amounts would destroy this resonant effect. The builders calculated these proportions with extraordinary precision to achieve specific acoustic results. Atmospheric monitoring around the Giza Plateau has detected ionospheric disturbances that correlate with solar maximum periods and specific celestial alignments. These disturbances create temporary electromagnetic fields that interact with the pyramid's structure. During certain astronomical configurations, when the pyramid's shafts align with specific stars, electromagnetic field strength increases measurably in the surrounding area. The effect is weak now, but it demonstrates that the system responds to celestial phenomena as designed. The measurements suggest the pyramid once operated as part of a global system synchronized with astronomical cycles. The precise stellar alignments weren't symbolic. They were functional, optimizing the system's operation during specific celestial configurations. Robert Schoch, professor of geology at Boston University, has demonstrated that the weathering patterns on the Sphinx and its enclosure are consistent with prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall. The type of erosion observed, deep vertical channels and undulating surfaces, requires centuries of sustained precipitation. Egypt's climate for the past 5,000 years has been arid desert, incapable of producing such erosion. The last period of significant rainfall in the region ended around 10,000 BCE, during the African humid period. Geological evidence supports construction far earlier than conventional Egyptology accepts. This earlier dating aligns with the astronomical evidence. The Giza complex's alignment with Orion's belt and the Sphinx's orientation toward Leo rising at the spring equinox are most precise around 10,500 BCE, matching the end of the last ice age and the Younger Dryas period. Radiocarbon dating of organic materials found within the pyramid structure has yielded wildly inconsistent results spanning thousands of years. Some samples date to the conventional construction period around 2,500 BCE. Others are significantly older, dating to 10,000 BCE or earlier. Conventional archaeology dismisses the older dates as contamination from reused materials or earlier structures, but the pattern suggests an alternative explanation. The pyramid was built in multiple phases over millennia or constructed using materials from much earlier structures. The inconsistent dates could indicate that later Egyptian dynasties restored or modified an existing monument far older than traditionally believed. The precision and sophistication of the original construction exceeded capabilities of later cultures who could maintain but not replicate the technology. The convergence of electromagnetic measurements, chemical analysis, acoustic studies, geological evidence, and astronomical alignments creates an overwhelming case. The Great Pyramid wasn't a tomb. It was a sophisticated technological device designed to generate and transmit electromagnetic energy using principles that modern science is only beginning to understand, and Tesla knew it. But Tesla's suppression wasn't unique. It established a template that is repeated throughout modern history with remarkable consistency. Revolutionary energy technologies emerge, demonstrate success under controlled conditions, attract attention from governments or corporations, then mysteriously disappear through financial pressure, legal challenges, regulatory obstacles, or the suspicious deaths of their inventors. The pattern spans over a century, affecting dozens of inventors across multiple countries. The technologies differ, some mechanical, some chemical, some electromagnetic, but the suppression follows identical methods. Economic interests threatened by energy breakthroughs deploy remarkably similar tactics to prevent commercialization. This isn't conspiracy theory requiring shadowy cabals in smoke-filled rooms. It's economics. The global energy industry represents the largest economic sector in human history, worth over $4 trillion annually. Revolutionary technologies that threaten this infrastructure face automatic, systematic resistance from entities acting in their own financial interests. In 1998, Stanley Meyer demonstrated a modified vehicle that ran on water instead of gasoline. His system used high-frequency electrical pulses to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen through electrolysis, then burned the hydrogen directly in the engine. The process required only a small battery for the electrical pulses. The energy output from burning hydrogen exceeded the electrical input dramatically. Meyer demonstrated his dune buggy publicly multiple times, driving it for journalists and potential investors. Independent witnesses verified the vehicle operated without gasoline, using only water as fuel. The technology was real, functional, and revolutionary. On March 20, 1998, Meyer attended a meeting with potential Belgian investors at a restaurant in Grove City, Ohio. During the meal, he suddenly clutched his throat, ran outside, and collapsed in the parking lot. His last words to his brother, according to testimony: "They poisoned me." The official cause of death, cerebral aneurysm, but the autopsy was cursory, and no thorough toxicology screening was performed. Within days of Meyer's death, his laboratory was raided. Equipment disappeared. Patents were immediately challenged by mysterious parties. His technology vanished from public view. Meyer's death followed a pattern. He'd recently been approached by powerful automotive and oil interests offering to purchase his patents. He'd refused, insisting the technology should be freely available. Shortly after, he was dead, and his life's work disappeared. Dr. Eugene Malov held degrees from MIT and Harvard and served as chief science writer at MIT. In 1989, when chemists Stanley Pons and Martin Fleischmann announced cold fusion, nuclear reactions occurring at room temperature, Malov investigated the claims. He discovered that MIT had falsified experimental data to discredit cold fusion research. MIT's administration, heavily funded by hot fusion research grants and nuclear industry money, couldn't allow cold fusion legitimacy. Malov exposed the fraud publicly, documenting how MIT manipulated results to show negative findings where positive results had actually occurred. Malov resigned from MIT in protest and founded Infinite Energy magazine to promote cold fusion and other alternative energy research. He became the technology's most prominent advocate, connecting researchers, publicizing positive results, and challenging the scientific establishment's dismissal of anomalous energy phenomena. On May 14, 2004, Malov was found beaten to death outside a rental property he owned in Norwich, Connecticut. The official explanation: robbery by tenants during an eviction dispute, but nothing of value was stolen. Malov's briefcase, containing research documents and correspondence, was missing. His car remained at the scene with keys in the ignition. The murder remains officially unsolved. 2 suspects were tried and acquitted. No one has been held responsible. and cold fusion research, which had been gaining mainstream attention due to Malove's advocacy, was once again marginalized as fringe science. Andrea Rossi developed the energy catalyzer, ECAT, a device claiming to produce energy through low-energy nuclear reactions, LENR. Multiple independent tests by Swedish scientists from Uppsala University confirmed anomalous heat production. The device generated far more energy than could be explained by any known chemical process. The measurements were precise. Energy output exceeded input by factors of 3 to 6, maintained over extended periods. The device operated without radioactive materials, produced no dangerous emissions, and left no radioactive waste. If commercialized, it would revolutionize global energy production. Rossi faced immediate regulatory challenges. Patent offices in multiple countries rejected his applications, claiming the technology violated physical laws, despite experimental evidence of its operation. Financial backers withdrew under pressure. Mainstream media either ignored the technology or portrayed Rossi as a charlatan. The technology remains commercially unavailable despite positive independent testing. Rossi continues development but faces constant legal and financial obstacles. The pattern mirrors Tesla's experience. Functional technology, verified by credible scientists, prevented from reaching the market through systematic institutional resistance. Dr. Randall Mills, trained as a physician but working in physics, developed a theory proposing that hydrogen atoms can shrink below their supposed ground state, releasing substantial energy in the process. He founded Black Light Power, now Brilliant Light Power, to commercialize the technology. Mills's theory contradicts quantum mechanics' prediction that electrons cannot exist in states below the ground state. Mainstream physics dismisses his work as impossible. Yet multiple independent laboratories have confirmed anomalous energy production from Mill's devices. Heat output with no conventional explanation. Testing by Rowan University found energy production consistent with Mills's predictions. Other laboratories detected unique spectral signatures matching his theoretical predictions. The technology works, even if current quantum theory can't explain why. Mills struggles to find commercial backing despite successful demonstrations. Mainstream scientists refuse to investigate seriously because the theory challenges established quantum mechanics. Investment firms avoid the technology despite its potential, fearing association with fringe science. The suppression here operates through academic gatekeeping rather than direct financial pressure. When revolutionary technology contradicts established theory, the scientific establishment protects its paradigm by refusing to examine evidence that might require theoretical revision. Understanding why these technologies face suppression requires understanding the economic infrastructure at risk. The global energy sector employs tens of millions of people directly and hundreds of millions indirectly. It generates trillions in annual revenue for oil companies, utilities, mining operations, transportation systems, and financial institutions. ExxonMobil, Saudi Aramco, Shell, BP, Chevron. These corporations alone represent over $2 trillion in market capitalization. Add coal companies, natural gas operations, nuclear facilities, and renewable energy firms, and the economic stakes become incomprehensible. Free energy technology, wireless power, water fuel, cold fusion, or any system that eliminates need for fuel and centralized distribution would collapse this entire economic structure overnight. Trillions in assets would become worthless. Millions would lose employment. National economies dependent on energy exports would face immediate crisis. Beyond economics lies geopolitics. Energy independence has driven foreign policy for over a century. Wars in the Middle East, relationships with oil-producing nations, strategic petroleum reserves, nuclear non-proliferation treaties, all rest on the foundation of energy scarcity. A nation possessing free energy technology would achieve instant global dominance. Traditional energy powers, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Venezuela, would face economic collapse. The United States military presence in the Middle East would lose justification. OPEC would become irrelevant overnight. This geopolitical reality ensures that governments suppress revolutionary energy technologies as matters of national security. Free energy in one nation's hands, while others remain dependent on conventional fuels, would shift the global balance of power more dramatically than nuclear weapons. The revolving door between energy companies and regulatory agencies ensures systematic suppression. Former energy executives become government regulators, then return to private sector with greater influence. The result: regulatory frameworks designed to protect existing infrastructure rather than enable innovation. Patent offices can classify any energy-related invention under national security provisions, preventing public disclosure. Over 5,000 patents currently remain under secrecy orders, many related to energy generation and storage technologies. Inventors are legally prohibited from discussing their own work. When revolutionary technology emerges, regulatory agencies find reasons to block it. Safety concerns, environmental impact studies, licensing requirements, compliance standards. Each regulation serves legitimate purposes individually, but collectively they create insurmountable barriers to disruptive innovation. The remarkable aspect of energy suppression isn't that it happens. It's that it requires no central coordination. Energy companies protect profits. Governments maintain geopolitical control. Financial institutions preserve investments. Media protects advertising revenue. Academia avoids controversy. Patent offices follow national security protocols. Each entity acts according to its own incentives, but the cumulative effect is systematic suppression of technologies that threaten the energy status quo. No conspiracy is necessary when aligned interests produce coordinated results. Tesla discovered this in 1902 when J.P. Morgan withdrew funding. Every inventor since has confronted the same reality. The technology can work, the demonstrations can be successful, the science can be sound, but if it threatens the multi-trillion-dollar energy infrastructure, it will not be allowed to succeed. The pattern continues today, over a century after Wardenclyffe's destruction. Revolutionary energy technologies still emerge, still demonstrate success, still face systematic suppression. The methods have been refined, the legal framework strengthened, but the fundamental dynamic remains unchanged. And at the heart of this suppression may lie knowledge far older than Tesla's, knowledge encoded in stone by builders who understood these principles millennia ago. Knowledge that remains too dangerous to acknowledge because it would prove that human civilization once achieved what we're still struggling to recreate. So who were these builders? Were they proof of an advanced ancient civilization? Standard Egyptology places the Great Pyramid's construction around 2500 BCE during Pharaoh Khufu's reign. According to conventional theory, thousands of workers using copper tools, wooden sledges, and rope dragged 2.3 million stone blocks, averaging 2.5 tons each, up ramps and positioned them with extraordinary precision. The mathematics, however, don't work. Completing the pyramid in Khufu's supposed 20-year reign requires placing one block every 2 to 3 minutes, 24 hours a day, for 2 decades straight. No holidays, no weather delays, no mistakes. The logistics demand a workforce of hundreds of thousands, yet no archaeological evidence exists of worker villages, supply infrastructure, tool deposits, or organizational systems to support such an undertaking. The tools don't work either. Copper, the hardest metal available in 2500 BCE, cannot cut granite. Modern experiments attempting to quarry and shape granite with copper tools fail completely. The precision surfaces inside the pyramid show no tool marks consistent with copper, bronze, or even iron implements. The timeline collapses under scrutiny. Either the pyramid was built using technologies far more advanced than copper chisels and wooden ramps, or it was built during a different era when such technologies existed. Robert Bauval's Orion correlation theory demonstrated that the 3 Giza pyramids mirror the alignment of the 3 stars in Orion's belt: Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. But the correlation isn't approximate. It's precise to a degree that excludes coincidence. More significantly, due to the precession of equinoxes, Earth's 25,920-year axial wobble, Orion's belt has moved across the sky over millennia. The pyramid alignment matches Orion's position most precisely around 10,500 BCE, not 2,500 BCE. The Sphinx provides additional evidence. It faces due east, toward the horizon where the sun rises at the equinoxes. At spring equinox, around 10,500 BCE, the constellation Leo, the lion, rose directly ahead of the Sphinx at dawn. The Sphinx, carved as a lion, gazed at its celestial counterpart. This astronomical correlation hasn't occurred since. These alignments suggest either construction during the period they commemorate, or builders with sophisticated knowledge of precessional cycles who deliberately encoded earlier dates into their monuments' orientations. Dr. Robert Schoch's geological analysis of the Sphinx and its enclosure has withstood decades of scrutiny. The weathering patterns, deep vertical channels, undulating horizontal surfaces, and erosional features are consistent with prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall, not wind and sand. Creating such erosion requires centuries of sustained precipitation. Egypt's climate for the past 5,000 years has been arid desert, receiving minimal rainfall. The weathering couldn't have occurred during or after 2,500 BCE. The last period of substantial rainfall in the region was the African humid period, which ended approximately 10,000 years ago. The geological evidence points to Sphinx construction before this climatic shift, placing it at minimum 12,000 years old, possibly older. This dating contradicts everything conventional archaeology claims about the timeline of civilization. According to mainstream theory, humans were still hunter-gatherers in 10,000 BCE. Complex stone construction shouldn't exist for another 7,000 years. The Younger Dryas period, 12,800 to 11,600 years ago, represents a catastrophic climatic event. Temperatures plummeted suddenly, ice sheets advanced, sea levels dropped 400 feet, and mass extinctions eliminated numerous species, including North American megafauna. Graham Hancock proposes that this catastrophe destroyed an advanced human civilization that had developed over tens of thousands of years. Survivors scattered globally, some preserving knowledge that they encoded in stone monuments designed to outlast any future catastrophe. This theory explains multiple anomalies: the sudden appearance of complex agriculture, metallurgy, mathematics, writing, and astronomical knowledge around 10,000 BCE suggests knowledge transfer from a pre-existing advanced culture rather than independent discovery. Hunter-gatherers don't spontaneously develop sophisticated astronomical calculations, but survivors of a technological civilization might teach such knowledge to primitive tribes. The global flood myths, found in virtually every ancient culture, may preserve memories of this catastrophe. The biblical flood, the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, Hindu deluge stories, Native American legends, all describe a worldwide catastrophe that destroyed advanced civilization, leaving only scattered survivors. The precision of ancient monuments provides direct evidence of capabilities that shouldn't exist in the supposed timeline of human development. The Great Pyramid's alignment to true north within 1/15 of a degree requires instrumentation we didn't possess until the 20th century. The base is level to within 3/4 of an inch across 13 acres. This isn't crude primitive construction. It's precision engineering that matches or exceeds modern capabilities. The blocks fit so tightly that knife blades can't slide between them. The internal chambers maintain their dimensions to fractions of inches, despite millions of tons pressing down from above. Similar precision appears globally. Sacsayhuaman in Peru features stones weighing hundreds of tons, cut and fitted with impossible accuracy. Baalbek in Lebanon contains the largest carved stones ever moved, over 1,000 tons each, transported and positioned with technologies we cannot replicate today. The builders possessed knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, geology, and engineering that conventional timelines cannot explain. They understood Earth's dimensions, precessional cycles, electromagnetic principles, and material properties at levels suggesting technological sophistication rather than primitive trial and error. Plato's detailed description of Atlantis, dismissed for centuries as philosophical allegory, may be historical account. He dates Atlantis's destruction to 9,600 BCE, approximately 11,600 years ago, matching the end of the Younger Dryas period exactly. His description matches a technologically advanced maritime civilization, sophisticated metallurgy, advanced architecture, complex engineering, global trade networks, and detailed astronomical knowledge. The catastrophic destruction he describes, occurring in a single day and night, corresponds to the sudden climatic shift that ended the Younger Dryas. Plato claimed his account derived from Egyptian priests who preserved the story for thousands of years. If accurate, this suggests the Egyptians inherited knowledge from an even earlier civilization, one that possessed the technology to build monuments we still cannot replicate. The most compelling evidence for advanced ancient civilization is the global distribution of identical knowledge systems. Pyramids on every continent, precise astronomical alignments to the same stellar targets, mathematical constants encoded in monuments separated by oceans, and construction techniques that exceed supposed capabilities, all point to shared knowledge from a common source. The probability of independent development is mathematically negligible. Ancient cultures supposedly isolated by oceans and millennia don't coincidentally encode the same mathematical relationships, align to the same stars, and employ identical construction techniques unless they're drawing from shared knowledge. This shared knowledge suggests a global civilization before the catastrophe, one that understood principles we're still rediscovering, that possessed technology we're still struggling to replicate, that deliberately preserved essential knowledge in the most permanent form possible, massive stone monuments designed to survive any disaster. A civilization facing global catastrophe would prioritize preserving knowledge for future generations. Written records burn, corrode, decay. Electronic storage requires functioning infrastructure, but mathematics and astronomy encoded in stone monuments transcends language and culture. The pyramid's dimensions express Earth's measurements. Its angles encode astronomical cycles. Its materials demonstrate electromagnetic principles. The knowledge remains accessible to any future civilization that develops sufficient mathematical and scientific understanding to decode it. This explains why the builders chose such massive, precise construction. They weren't glorifying pharaohs. They were preserving human knowledge through a catastrophe they knew was coming or had already experienced. Ancient texts worldwide contain suspiciously technical information disguised as mythology. Hindu Vedas describe vimanas, flying machines powered by mercury engines, complete with operational details. The Mahabharata contains descriptions of weapons that sound remarkably like nuclear devices, including accounts of radiation sickness and environmental devastation. These aren't primitive fantasies, they're technical manuals preserved in religious texts. Ancient Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki teaching humans agriculture, metallurgy, mathematics, and astronomy. Egyptian texts reference the followers of Horus, bringing wisdom from elsewhere. Conventional archaeology dismisses these as myths, but they may be historical accounts of knowledge transfer from an advanced civilization to surviving populations after catastrophe. The technical details are too specific, too consistent across cultures, to be mere imagination. Even encoded in stone, knowledge can be lost if understanding disappears. Survivors of catastrophe struggle for basic survival. Within generations, the technical meaning of monuments is forgotten, replaced by religious interpretation. Technological devices become sacred temples. Engineering manuals become holy texts. This explains the anomaly at the heart of Egyptian civilization. It appears fully formed. The earliest dynasties already possessed sophisticated mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and engineering. There's no developmental period, no gradual accumulation of knowledge. It's as if the Egyptians inherited a complete knowledge system they imperfectly preserved but never fully understood. The pyramid may represent the high point of this inherited knowledge, a monument built by those who still understood its purpose, surrounded by a civilization that was already losing that understanding. Later Egyptians could maintain the structure but couldn't replicate it. They built smaller pyramids using cruder methods because they'd lost the knowledge their ancestors possessed. We face the same situation today. We stand before monuments built by minds that understood principles we're still struggling to grasp. And the Great Pyramid is not alone. There are others. In 2005, Dr. Samir Osmanagic began excavating what appeared to be unusually geometric hills in the Visoko region of Bosnia. What he uncovered challenges everything conventional archaeology claims about European prehistory. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun stands over 700 feet tall, larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed worked stone blocks, internal chambers, and tunnel systems carved from solid rock. Carbon dating of organic material found in the tunnels suggests construction over 12,000 years ago, predating known European civilization by 10,000 years. The electromagnetic properties mirror those measured at Giza. The pyramid's apex generates a focused beam of electromagnetic energy that extends vertically into the atmosphere, detectable by sensitive instruments at significant altitude. The frequency measures 28 kilohertz, precisely in the range that would be expected from a structure designed for electromagnetic transmission. The extensive underground tunnel network, over 10 miles mapped so far, creates acoustic chambers that amplify natural Earth frequencies. The tunnels connect multiple pyramid structures, suggesting an integrated system rather than isolated monuments. Conventional archaeology dismisses the Bosnian pyramids as natural formations, despite clear evidence of human construction. The resistance reveals how threatening these discoveries are to established timelines. If Europe had sophisticated pyramid-building civilizations 12,000 years ago, the entire narrative of human development collapses. The Maya supposedly developed in isolation from Old World civilizations, separated by the Atlantic Ocean and thousands of years. Yet their pyramids demonstrate identical mathematical precision, astronomical alignments, and construction techniques. El Mirador in Guatemala contains the La Danta Pyramid Complex, larger in volume than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built supposedly without metal tools, wheels, or beasts of burden, it represents an engineering achievement that matches or exceeds Egyptian capabilities. The astronomical alignments are most striking. Mayan pyramids throughout Central America align with Orion's belt, the Pleiades, and seasonal solar positions, the same stellar targets as Egyptian pyramids. The mathematical relationships encoded in their dimensions include pi, the golden ratio, and Earth's precessional cycles. The correlation cannot be coincidental. Isolated cultures don't independently choose identical astronomical targets, encode identical mathematical constants, and employ identical construction techniques unless they're drawing from shared knowledge. Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo in Peru present perhaps the most compelling evidence of advanced ancient technology. The megalithic walls incorporate stones weighing hundreds of tons, cut and fitted with precision that exceeds modern capabilities. The stones bear no tool marks. The cuts are clean, the surfaces perfectly flat, the angles exact. Modern stonemasons using power tools struggle to replicate the precision. How ancient builders achieved it remains unexplained. The walls have survived earthquakes that destroyed modern buildings, demonstrating seismic engineering superior to current standards. The ancient builders understood stress distribution, harmonic vibration, and structural resonance at levels we're still studying. The Nazca lines nearby add another dimension. These massive ground drawings, visible only from the air, include geometric patterns and perfectly straight lines extending for miles. Recent analysis reveals many lines align with underground water sources, suggesting technological purposes related to water management or energy transmission. For decades, the Chinese government denied the existence of pyramids within its borders. Satellite imagery has now confirmed dozens of pyramid structures, some rivaling or exceeding the Great Pyramid in size. The White Pyramid, visible in declassified military reconnaissance photographs, appears over 1,000 feet tall, more than twice the height of Giza. These structures align with cardinal directions and demonstrate the same mathematical relationships found in pyramids worldwide. The Shandong Peninsula contains numerous smaller pyramids, arranged in patterns that mirror stellar configurations. Initial archaeological investigation, tightly controlled by government authorities, suggests sophisticated internal chamber systems and electromagnetic anomalies matching other pyramid sites. The Chinese government's resistance to investigation suggests these monuments threaten official historical narratives. They may predate Chinese civilization by thousands of years, indicating advanced cultures in regions now claimed as historically Chinese. Gunung Padang in Indonesia represents perhaps the most enigmatic pyramid structure discovered to date. What appeared to be a natural hill has been revealed through ground-penetrating radar as a massive artificial structure buried beneath vegetation and subsequent geological deposits. Carbon dating suggests construction phases spanning thousands of years, with the oldest sections potentially dating to 20,000 years ago, before the last ice age ended. This would make it the oldest pyramid structure ever discovered, predating all known civilizations. The structure exhibits electromagnetic properties matching other pyramid sites. It generates focused energy beams, responds to solar activity, and shows evidence of sophisticated internal chamber systems. Geological analysis confirms the entire hill is artificial, constructed using precisely placed megalithic stones arranged in complex geometric patterns. The similarities across pyramid sites worldwide are too specific to result from independent development. Precise astronomical alignments to identical stellar targets, Orion's belt, the Pleiades, pole stars, and seasonal solar positions. Mathematical relationships encoding universal constants, pi, golden ratio, Earth's dimensions, and precessional cycles. Electromagnetic anomalies and energy-focusing properties measured at multiple sites. Similar internal chamber configurations designed for acoustic resonance. Construction techniques exceeding supposed technological capabilities of builder cultures. Positioning over geological features that enhance electromagnetic properties, underground water sources, mineral deposits, and natural cavern systems. The probability of coincidental similarity across isolated cultures is effectively zero. These monuments represent a unified knowledge system, distributed globally before recorded history. The pyramids may have functioned as an interconnected global system, a network of power generation and transmission stations positioned at optimal locations for worldwide energy distribution. Each site was placed over geological features that enhanced its electromagnetic properties. The astronomical alignments synchronized operation with celestial cycles. Tesla's wireless power vision may have been reconstruction of this ancient reality, a global network broadcasting electromagnetic energy, accessible anywhere through simple receivers, powered by Earth's natural processes and celestial influences. The network's destruction or shutdown, whether through catastrophe, war, or deliberate suppression, left individual components that remain functional but no longer serve their integrated purpose. We study the pyramids as isolated monuments, unaware they once comprised a unified technological system spanning the planet. Standing before these global monuments, we confront undeniable evidence. Human civilization is far older, far more sophisticated, and far more globally connected than conventional history acknowledges. The builders possessed knowledge that we've lost and are struggling to rediscover, knowledge that Tesla glimpsed, that modern science is confirming, but that remains suppressed because acknowledging it would require rewriting everything we claim to know about our past. The profound implication of this evidence is that modern technology represents recovery rather than innovation. Tesla didn't invent wireless power transmission. He rediscovered it. Quantum physics isn't revealing new principles. It's explaining what ancient builders already knew. Our electromagnetic theory documents what was once common engineering practice. This realization transforms how we understand human potential. We're not the pinnacle of development, slowly advancing from primitive origins. We're inheritors of knowledge that was once more complete, struggling to reclaim understanding that previous civilizations possessed fully. The technologies we classify as cutting-edge, electromagnetic energy harvesting, wireless power transmission, piezoelectric generation, resonant frequency tuning, are encoded in monuments thousands of years old. Our energy systems are deliberately inefficient. We extract fossil fuels from the ground, transport them globally, burn them in centralized facilities, then distribute the resulting power through lossy transmission networks. This complexity isn't necessary. It's profitable. Free energy technology, whether Tesla's wireless transmission or the pyramid's geological power harvesting, eliminates every step of this profitable inefficiency. No extraction, no transportation, no combustion, no transmission lines. Power becomes ubiquitous, accessible, free. The technology has existed for thousands of years. It exists now, locked in classified archives. The barrier to implementation isn't technical, it's economic and political. Those who profit from artificial scarcity will not willingly allow abundance. Free energy would revolutionize civilization as dramatically as fire or electricity. Manufacturing costs plummet without energy expenses. Transportation becomes nearly free. Desalination provides unlimited fresh water. Food production costs drop dramatically. Resource extraction and processing become economically viable for materials currently too expensive to access. Economic systems based on scarcity become obsolete. If energy is free and abundant, traditional economic models collapse. This explains the suppression more than any other factor. Free energy threatens the fundamental structure of global economy. Tesla proved that wireless power transmission works. Wardenclyffe was functional, requiring only final adjustments before broadcasting power globally. The technology was suppressed, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. His pyramid research demonstrated that ancient builders had achieved what he attempted. The knowledge wasn't lost. It was deliberately hidden, preserved in monuments that stand as permanent testimony to human capabilities when freed from artificial constraints. We began with Tesla's death and the government seizure of his life's work. We traced his discoveries from alternating current to wireless power transmission, following his obsession with the Great Pyramid to his conclusion that it was a technological device, not a tomb. We examined the engineering evidence, materials chosen for electromagnetic properties, chemical residues from industrial processes, piezoelectric granite generating electricity, geometric focusing of electromagnetic energy. We reviewed modern scientific validation, peer-reviewed studies proving the pyramid concentrates electromagnetic fields, chemical analysis confirming hydrogen generation systems, acoustic measurements demonstrating resonant amplification. We explored the pattern of energy suppression spanning a century. Tesla's wireless power destroyed, Stanley Meyer's water fuel cell inventor dead under suspicious circumstances, Eugene Malov murdered after exposing cold fusion suppression, countless other technologies systematically prevented from reaching the public despite successful demonstrations. We investigated evidence of advanced ancient civilization, geological dating pushing construction back 12,000 years, astronomical alignments encoding precessional knowledge, mathematical precision impossible with supposed primitive tools, global pyramid network suggesting unified technological system. Each strand of evidence supports the others. The convergence points to a single, inescapable conclusion. The Great Pyramid was never built as a tomb. Every architectural feature serves technological function. Every material was chosen for electromagnetic properties. Every dimension was calculated for resonant amplification. The structure was designed, engineered, and constructed as a wireless power generation facility, exploiting Earth's natural electromagnetic fields. Tesla recognized this truth and attempted to reconstruct the technology. Wardenclyffe Tower represented his effort to validate what ancient builders had achieved. His work was suppressed because it succeeded. The suppression continues today, over 80 years after Tesla's death. The pattern hasn't changed because the economic incentives haven't changed. And the larger truth is that human civilization is far older and more sophisticated than conventional history acknowledges. We've been told we evolved from primitive hunter-gatherers to technological civilization in mere thousands of years. The evidence suggests instead that advanced human cultures have risen and fallen repeatedly across hundreds of thousands of years. The pyramids represent knowledge from one of these earlier cycles, a civilization that understood principles we're struggling to rediscover. They encoded their most essential knowledge in massive stone monuments designed to survive any catastrophe, preserving it for future generations wise enough to decode the message. Tesla died believing he'd failed. His greatest achievement destroyed, his wireless power research seized and hidden, his pyramid analysis dismissed as the delusions of an aging mind. He couldn't have known that decades later, scientific instruments would prove him right. Modern science has proven what Tesla understood intuitively. The pyramid is a machine, and it still functions after 4,500 years. The 20 boxes of research that vanished after his death contain proof of this. That knowledge remains locked away, classified as too dangerous for public access. Not because it's false, but because it's true. Not because the technology doesn't work, but because it works too well. The truth stands in plain sight. 481 feet tall, weighing 6 million tons, mathematically encoding Earth's dimensions and electromagnetic principles in imperishable stone. We've been staring at the answer for 4,500 years, calling it a tomb because acknowledging its true purpose would require admitting that our ancestors were more advanced than we are. Tesla rediscovered this truth and proved the technology viable. His work was suppressed for the same reasons the pyramid's purpose has been hidden, because free energy threatens the most powerful economic interests in human history. But knowledge, once discovered, cannot be permanently suppressed. Truth has a way of emerging despite systematic attempts to bury it. The journey to uncover suppressed truth continues, so leave a like and subscribe. Comment below with your thoughts on Tesla's connection to the pyramids. What other suppressed technologies should we investigate? What questions remain unanswered? Your engagement builds a community of truth seekers strong enough to build the world Tesla envisioned and ancient builders once achieved. A world of freedom, abundance, and unlimited human potential. Until next time, keep questioning.